Imagine when you have a position that really fuels your self-esteem and your fulfillment and you love it, and that's where a lot of your identity comes from, and then it's ripped away from you and you're forced to pivot. What a horrible feeling. So how do you turn that into the best thing that ever happened to you? That's what we're talking about today at Black Ram TV's podcast, Gaining Ground. My name is Daniela Sagia, and I am Chief Strategist and Creative Director of Black Ram Media Group, Inc., and thank you for joining us today. Oh, LinkedIn's a hard place to be today with all the Google posts, right? For people that used to work at Google that have just been laid off. And congrats to Google in the sense that it was obvious these people really loved working there. That is evident from the absolute emotional devastation that is just seething in every one of their posts. Some of them, I read one of someone that was there for 16 years. Imagine. And I've seen this happen in people's lives, and it's certainly happened in my life more than once, where you really identify with the thing that you're doing. And I mean, really, you work more than you're at home, right? At least in Canada, for most people. So a lot of our identity, a lot of our self-esteem gets entangled with what we do for a living and what people call us, what our titles are, right? What the income is. And you get used to being at a certain level. So when that's ripped from you, that is a really traumatic, very startling thing. It's one thing if you decide you want something different, but when you love what you're doing and you would give it your all, and then you're just discarded, ooh, that hurts. Doesn't that ever hurt? And in my case, sometimes it was just life stuff, like I had a job that I used to love and got a work injury, and it meant that I could no longer be on the premises because it left me permanently disabled. And now what? Right? And I felt so abandoned at the time because I really loved this job. But you know what? It was a job that I was really comfortable at, and there was really no room for growth. If I had stayed there, I would never have gotten beyond a lower management position. There really wasn't a big vertical climb available there. But I was so comfortable and I loved it so much. I mean, really, I loved my coworkers is what it was. We had such a great time that, the ambition fell on the wayside and I became an underachiever at that job. And it's funny that an accident that left me permanently disabled, and I remember the HR person who was very cruel at that meeting looked at me and said, "You are unemployable." And those words resonated through me of, no, it was just awful. Unemployable? I'm a workaholic. I can't be unemployable. I don't do that. Like, how, that was just devastating to me. And now, look, I've become a leader of industry. So had that not have happened to me, I had a destiny that was far bigger than that job. But I never allowed myself to see it at that time. And you would think with a permanent injury that would be the end, but really it wasn't. You get better, you find treatments, things happen. And I mean, that doesn't happen for everybody, but it did for me. I was able to carve a little place for myself. And then that place got bigger and cozier and, more challenging as I got better. And now I amaze myself at some of the things I'm able to do. I never in a million years would think at that time that I'd be capable of doing what I'm doing now. Because that job didn't give me the learning and the experience necessary to do what I'm doing now. So it had to go. I just couldn't see that. So the beautiful thing after going through something that is that catastrophic is that when it happens again, you remember that, you know what? The last time this happened turned out to be an amazing thing, even though I was upset. So maybe this is going to be amazing for me too. I just can't feel that right now because I'm going to miss my coworkers. I'm going to miss my routine. I'm going to miss the lady at the lunch counter that I used to go to at the coffee shop. Like, you build this little community around your job that's bigger than just who's in your office, the security guard in the building, whatever it is. You build the regulars you used to deal with every day, that becomes a feeling like family. You truly love these people. So you're not just losing the title and the esteem and everything that comes with it, but then you learn, oh my God, I'm losing a social circle. And half the times, on weekends or special occasions, it was my work buddies. And then you tell yourself that you're going to keep in touch, and maybe on some level you will, but it's never quite the same as when you're in the same, cubicle with somebody or in the same office. Things change. Everything is temporary. I remember a few months ago, I went through Ottawa, and there was a restaurant I used to love, and it was very, very decadent at a beautiful hotel. It was a jazz bar. And they used to have beautiful jazz music. It was an elevated dining experience, and you felt that from the moment you stepped in. And I guess COVID hit that place like any other, and it's suddenly not so gorgeous. It's not so fine dine anymore. It's nice still, but it's a pub now, right? It certainly was not a pub when I used to go to it. And it just, the food was okay. It was good. It's, they did that very well, but it wasn't what I remember. And, I really loved that place. So anytime I spent there, I really savored it. And I'm glad I did, because the last time I left there, I didn't realize it was going to be my last time going to that restaurant, at least for the next several years. And that when I would return, the beautiful place I used to long for was no longer going to be there. Everything's temporary, especially the beautiful things. So you've got to really soak it in while you can. And when these opportunities to pivot come, you got to give yourself the second to catch your breath and to mourn, of course, my God. But the trick I've learned is to, as quickly as possible, get to the I wonder what's next phase. And not in a way that's dreary. Not in like, oh my God, what if I don't find a job? You don't want that energy. You want to try and recreate the feeling you used to get as a kid before Christmas, if Christmas was a good thing for you. If it wasn't, think about what it was that you did anticipate every single year, and every year it was awesome. You can count on that. And so every single year, a month or so before that time, you would get that tingly sensation of so-and-so time is coming. That's what you want. Tap into that feeling and hold it as often and as long as possible, and keep your eye open. Let me tell you the story of my business partner, or one of my business partners, Pierce, at the store that we co-own in Annapolis Royal, Nova Scotia. Pierce used to have a very high-level job, high-level, high-pressure job, but then decided, you know what, I'm ready to change my life. I'm going to move across the country, sold his swanky condo in Vancouver, bought a beautiful house in rural Nova Scotia, and turned it into an Airbnb, so he had instant income coming in, and then decided, now I'm going to just take my time, soak in the place, and see what maybe I want to do for a living. Maybe I'll get inspired to do something. And sure enough, within 6 months of living here, we were inspired together to open this gift shop in town. We thought we could contribute to the community and find a great way to meet people. So we opened the store. Now, when we opened the store, he was thinking swanky gifts. So he was shopping decor, body care stuff, or exquisite items for gentlemen for gifts and things like that. But when we bought the store, it came with a bunch of inventory. A lot of it was clothing, and it was good quality clothing. It was really good. And we thought, well, let's just put it out for sale, because we were not interested in the clothing business, but we had a lot of it. So we'll put it for sale, and as soon as it sells, we'll replace it with other things. So Pierce, with his very open mind, like I said, because he came here saying, I'm going to be open to what unfolds for me, and I bet you it's going to be awesome, because I'm a hard worker, I'm talented, so whatever it's going to be, I'm going to embrace it. So now we have all these clothes we want to get rid of, so we can go back to talking about gifts, which was our original idea. And of all the stuff we have in the store, the clothes start selling like hotcakes. And it's our highest margin, and it helps us get to numbers quicker, You know how many soaps I have to sell to get to the same number as selling a dress, right? So it was just better for us. So now we had to rethink clothing. And also, Pierce found a passion there. Because, women come in when I'm there and I'm like, well, you need a size large, here's a size large. Not Pierce. Pierce can visualize what would look good on a woman and just has a way of, engaging with them, and they have such a good time, and he helps them feel like a queen, and he's just fantastic. And he's a fantastic stylist. So people come in for one thing and they walk out with an entire ensemble and they look like $1 million and they spend $500,000. I'm kidding. But they spend a lot of money and he just makes you want to. He's the real retail therapy guy. Do you think in 1,000,000 years he thought, I'm going to leave my high pressure exec type job so that I can become a stylist? No. No, but man, is he ever having a good time? Is he ever having a good time? And you should see how beautiful that store is. And that's him. Like, that is all him. That store, I go in, I put something on a shelf and it looks like it belongs, at Costco. He puts it on a shelf and it's like Van Gogh did the shelves, So he's just got an eye for this stuff and he's got a taste. And that he allowed himself to grow into it. He could have easily said, I'm a guy, what do I know about women's clothing? But he didn't. He opened himself up to see what joy he can find in it. And it turns out he found a talent he didn't know he had and a huge passion, has a great time, and he makes women feel wonderful. So he goes home at the end of the day knowing he's made people feel wonderful. You have to allow yourself to pivot. And sometimes it looks like, on the surface, a step down. I met a PhD not long ago. PhD had a very big government job. So he had all the prestige, he had all the money. It was so miserable. He hated it. And he quit to be a stewardess, an airline host. You know what I mean? And he loved that job. He said, I traveled. I got to see places. I met lovely people. I really enjoyed serving people on the planes. I really had a great time. I loved that job. Anybody else would have said, what are you talking about? You're a PhD you could have stayed for the government pension. What do you mean you left to pour people drinks? Did you coffee or tea? Did you want turkey or chicken? Seriously? Yeah, because sometimes that's the happiness and then that's the win, right? Happiness is the win at the end of the day. For some people, that requires a dollar amount, right? But what the happiness looks like how it's delivered to you, well, that could be just about anything. So don't limit yourself to say, well, I've always seen myself as a accountant or lawyer or whatever, and now that's taken away from me, what do I do? Well, remain open and think about it like Christmas. Maybe there's a position out there that you don't even know exists. Maybe there's an opportunity you don't even know exists yet. Maybe there's a job, I didn't even know this was a job, Maybe something will come up that it's like it was made for you right now, or maybe this is the time you finally do your own thing. Like my friend Nurse Sharon, she lost her job when she refused to get vaccinated, a job she was never happy in, not for a long time. And now she's finally living her dream of being self-employed, doing things on her own terms. She's a wellness coach, so she's still, acting like a nurse and doing her thing and helping people get control of their health just like she did before, but on her own terms. Finally. But it took that for her to take the plunge. So some at the time would have said, wow, she lost something. No, she didn't. She gained her opportunity. She gained her freedom. So the pivots are going to happen, and usually it's not joyful. We always dream of success coming promotion after promotion. And sometimes it happens that way, sure. You might have a good run for a while, But then sometimes things will happen. The accident, the divorce, the moving across country, the falling in love and changing your life, the death that redirects you, all sorts of things happen. The job ends, the company folds, all sorts of things happen. Today I had a client that had a dream opportunity appear, that they've been working on for so long, and I had to advise them against taking it. Things aren't always what they appear, and it's disappointing when you've put so much energy and so much hope in this one thing, and then that one thing lets you down. It's gonna happen, and you lick your wounds, and then you wonder, wow, the last time I had a big change, things worked out all right. It was struggle for a while, but I recovered. People recover, economies recover, countries recover, right? I can recover. And who knows, maybe the next phase will be glorious, and I'm going to be grateful that this happened to me right now. Because if it didn't, I wouldn't have had the guts to do it. I always call that the universe dragging you to success or transcendence, kicking and screaming. If you won't do it yourself, the universe will drag you to where you're meant to be, kicking and screaming. Or you can just embrace it and enjoy the ride. That's today's message on Black Ram TV's podcast, Gaining Ground. Thank you for joining me. My name is Daniela Sajia. Love to hear from you. You can email me anytime at Daniela, Daniela, @blackrammedia.com. Have a great day.